The whole of Westeros now was on high alert, and the most powerful houses of the realm were in full preparation for war. Far in the north, King Loren of Winterfell was rallying the troops, but was fully aware that it won't be a quick one, considering the vast swaths of land that the troops had to cover to join the main army. Further down in the peaks of the Mountains of the Moon, Queen Shara of the Vale decided to boost up defenses and send her army down to the Bloody Gate instead of making any alliances. This left the two great houses of the west to put together a force to reckon with. Mern the Ninth of House Gardener was king of the Reach and boasted an impressive army. Together with Ron the First Lannister, who was king of the Rock, they joined their armies into a force of over 50,000 men, including some 5,000 mounted knights. The two armies gathered outside the village of Golden Grove and didn't linger long before starting to march towards God's Eye, which was Aegon's base. Aegon's much smaller force numbered about 5,000 men and was made up of soldiers sworn to the Riverlords more than loyal directly to House Targaryen. When King Mern and King Lannister heard of the small size of Aegon's army, they rejoiced, and their men were full of confidence. Furthermore, the terrain this time was flat, it was dry, and the skies were clear, so the scenario that killed King Argilac at Harrenhal could not be repeated. With such overwhelming numbers, the strategy for the two kings was to surround Aegon's forces on both flanks and attack from the back, while their armored knights will crush through the center. Aegon's formation was a simple crescent made of men armed with spears and pikes, with archers and crossbowmen at the back and light cavalry on the flanks. But one thing he noticed was the nice weather and the very, very dry, tall grass. This time the Targaryen king was planning to fight from the sky along with his two sisters. Eager to make battle, the two kings sounded their trumpets and started forward towards Aegon's tiny army. King Mern himself was leading the charge on his golden stallion, and spirits were very high. They crossed the plain under a rain of arrows and crashed into the Targaryen spearmen, shattering their ranks. By now, the dragon riders already assessed the best possible scenario. Using the wind direction to their advantage, they descended onto the huge army with dragon flame and surrounded them with walls of fire on three sides. The wind fanned the flames and blew smoke into the faces of the advancing ranks of the two kings. Panic ensued among the fighting animals, and the smoke thickened, confusing the horse and the rider. The dry grass quickly burst into flames all around them, and those lucky enough not to catch fire were cut down by the awaiting Aegon's army as they tried to escape the flames. It is said that more than 4,000 men died in the flames in the first hour of the battle. By the end of the Field of Fire, as the battle was named afterward, tens of thousands suffered burns and many died of them a few days later. Aegon's army lost just over 100 men. King Mern died on the field, and with him the House Gardener. King Ron Lannister escaped that dreadful day, but was captured the day after. He laid his sword and crown at Aegon's feet and bent the knee, and the Targaryen king, true to his word, confirmed him in his lands and lordship, naming him Lord of Casterly Rock and Warden of the West. Like dominoes, the rest of the lords and bannermen of the Reach followed suit and bent the knee to Aegon, and Aegon spared their lives and allowed them to keep their titles as promised. But the Dragon King didn't stop to enjoy the spoils of victory. He marched onwards south to Highgarden to ensure the capture of this most treasured seat of House Gardener. With King Mern, last of the House Gardener, lost in the battle, Highgarden was open for anybody to claim. But when he reached the beautiful city, one of the stewards, Ian Tyrell, was in charge, and he handed the keys to the city without a fight and pledged support to the conquering king. In turn, Aegon rewarded him with all the domains around Highgarden and named him Warden of the South. Aegon wanted to continue south to Old Town and Dorne, but he was quickly reminded that he was fighting on two fronts. The south was somewhat subdued, but in the north, Torrhen Stark, followed by 30,000 men, crossed the neck and was spotted passing the Twins.